Hello and welcome to Open Enough to Listen. We have a few guests. We're going to be talking about relationships and building a new relationship. We have Brandon and Coach K. A little bit about Coach K. She is 52 years old. She was divorced and happily repartnered. That's always a wonderful thing. Three children, two adults, a teenage boy. She's deeply passionate about personal development, healing after adversity, and fostering healthy relationships. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
And we have
Absolutely.
Brandon. You go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Oh, I'm Brandon. Y'all seen me before. Soon you probably gonna see me again. What's up, everybody? Beautiful people. How y'all doing?
All right. So we're gonna start off with one of the first questions. So, what are the most important steps that you took, one of you guys, as far as healing and preparing for a new relationship after either a breakup or a divorce?
I'll go first.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Um,
I'll let you have that one, Coach.
yeah. Um, First of all, I had remarried this person. So we had married twice. We've been divorced before and got married again. And when we were divorced the first time, I didn't do anything after the divorce was over. I was like, I'm free. And I think that's what a lot of people do. I'm free. I'm ready to hit the streets. Okay. I'm for the streets. And so that was my attitude after the first split. And this time, the second time we married, it was for 15 years. The first time was only 4 years. So I was like, I need something different. I saw the pattern in my partners, and it was no denying it. And I felt like there were so many things that I should have seen with him. That and also, and the second biggest reason it was that, and then also I'm just a very relationship prone person. I don't know what it is. I don't identify with women who can't get a man to stay. I've never had a man break up with me. I'm not bragging about like I've never been dumped and he went off to somebody else. And
Right.
so I felt like I need to heal because my pattern is I'm going to attract somebody new. I need to make sure my energy is the same. It is where I was what I want to receive. So that was my motivation. And I did a ton of different things. I did everything from a Christian divorce care class for 13 weeks. I didn't agree with everything, but I wanted to get diverse information and really do the self work. And then the second was my one on one therapy, which was part of what pushed me into the divorce. And then I did a super intense process. She calls it a process with the Iyanla Vanzant last summer that
Oh
just
wow.
cleared out like all the cooties going back to childhood. You got to be ready though, because it was like 10 weeks of crying and telling all your business, So, but it got me together completely that I to the point where I feel now like I can get on here, talk about what happened without bashing my ex, even though obviously I have receipts, anybody who's been married before does. But I feel like I can speak of those things in a way that he probably still wouldn't prefer, but I wouldn't be embarrassed if my children saw it.
Nice, nice. Well, mine is still kind of fresh. So I'm still kind of going through my healing stages. But what I have found to help me a lot was first strengthening my relationship with God, because that's something that I really didn't have in none of my relationships, So I sought that out as like a first step, just starting to read more into the Bible. I would go to church here and there whenever it calls me, because church is not something I'm really into, but every now and again I wake up with the calling. And usually when I go, I get what I need right out of it. So that was but I think my biggest one was my solitude, because it allowed me to, as you said before, Coach K, work 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 on the things within myself and not too much harping about what was done to me or how I felt or anything like that. It was more so, what did I do? What could I have done better? So it having my solitude, and also I've never, like you said, also I've never been the one to not be in a relationship. Dominique, you've known me pretty much since I was a boy, all the way up to a man. You know, from the sixth grade, you know, all the way up. You know, I married my sixth grade girlfriend.
Wow.
You know, so I've always been in relationships. My past relationship, which was actually my very first real heartbreak, you know, that lasted another 10, 11 years. So I've never had that chance to be alone with myself. You get what I'm saying? And understand more about myself, because it's not just you, Coach. Everybody has a certain pattern when it comes to dating. You get what I'm saying? So, and if those patterns aren't good patterns, once you realize that, then you can start making those changes. But it definitely takes you looking in the mirror and, you know, getting right with yourself and being honest with yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's helping me heal, as I'm currently still going through the healing process. So, you know, just keeping myself busy and noticing the my shortcomings and all my flaws and downfalls and everything like that. It helps me fix that, because I don't have nobody telling me, you know, well, you did this or you did that, you did that. I'm telling myself. So it feels like it hits different when you like, oh man, you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe, oh, this is how I was, or I was doing
Mm,
this and I was doing, oh, I can see why that would be a problem, you know. But when you're in the moment, you kind of like, hey, you know, you don't feel that way. But yeah, definitely my relationship with God, and just my isolation, not talking to too many people, talking more to myself,
yep.
giving myself the answers that only I could give. You know what I mean? So, what about you, Dominique?
I would say in my previous situation, I've learned, a lot as far as growth, as far as I think the biggest thing for me was knowing my value. Because I think you can get caught into, trying to please someone and you please them for the wrong reason, not for you, but for them. And then depending on the person, you may get taken advantage of as well. So I think just being able to understand, know who I am, know, my purpose of what I'm doing, whether it's relationship or just in general, even when it comes to just professional, like you have to set boundaries and you got to also know, who you are. So just when it comes to healing, I think for me, I pretty much end up going to therapy. And it was more so it wasn't just a relationship. I ended up realizing it was like a whole lot of trauma. That was just more so the tipping point, really. But I think just that understanding vulnerability, never knew that, because I never was vulnerable with anybody, and just learning and growing, and like you said, turning to God, I ended up getting a spiritual mentor as well, so I think like that helps. And I think with guys, we don't like to necessarily, speak on a lot of stuff because like the moment either we something goes wrong, we try to share it, and anything is said that we don't like is just I shut down. That's just me. So it's just trying to overcome that and just understand as a man, like it's okay to, be vulnerable. Just watch who you're vulnerable with, because you can be vulnerable with someone and they could take full advantage of, what you're trying to do. So it's just growing, understanding who you are and just knowing, what to do. But I'll say that's probably the biggest thing. And I think trying to go into another situation, the biggest thing is not bringing your past into your present, because when you do that, now you start to ruffle feathers with the person you're trying to build with, because they're not that person. So you got to eliminate that. And if you're self-aware to know you doing that, just communicate, hey, I'm tripping, it had nothing to do with you. But you can't bring that in for female or males, because that could be devastating to building a foundation and moving on.
And see, I think that's a lot easier said than done. But for sure, yeah,
I think it's hard to be. You have to be really connected to yourself and really committed to growing in self awareness, which is not all pretty.
right.
Because you come out of a relationship, you have all sorts of flashbacks.
And it's hard not to project that, even, you know, like, especially when you see even a small sign that maybe not maybe that it wasn't meant like that, but because of what you went, so it makes you a lot more vigilant. Like I think, and I think it should. Like I think it's only right that some of that stuff you kind of have to be able to notice before you go through that again. You know what I'm saying? Because love will blind you from a lot of stuff. Love will
And
blind you from the things you've been through over and over and over again.
see, Brandon, that's the thing that I learned that I would tell um, younger women, but I think it applies for men too. But I do think that men tend to do this one thing better once they mature. Um, I think that women don't really know themselves, what they need and what they bring. And what I mean by that is if I knew myself and what I actually needed in a partner, that's what I would be looking for when I was dating. Women
Right.
aren't looking for the needs that they really need. They're looking at, the level of attraction and
They
things
get
that
their
are
needs and wants a
important.
little confused, right?
Yes, like if I know, for example, I'm just going to use myself. I need a provider type. I don't need a soft life. I make a great income myself, but
Right.
I need a man with a provider mindset so that he feels a responsibility to take care of me, cover me, etc. But I didn't know that. And so I ended up with somebody who didn't have any of those skills. And then I am constantly berating you because you're not what I never told you I needed you to be in the beginning.
Right.
Whereas I think that men don't, they pick a woman, men pick a woman who's already most of what they want. And then they don't try to change her. They hope she stays the same. A
Right.
woman will pick
Creatures of habit.
who's 70, 80%. And then from day one, okay, we go together. All right, here's my list. Now, I really don't like that you need to do these things. These are the following, blah, blah, blah. And I went into my new relationship like, I'm not going to change anything about him. If I don't like it, I'm just not going to stay here because that's what I feel like men tend to do.
Right.
I will piggyback. I think that is instrumental. I think when it does come to that, because I think when it comes to guys, we kind of, especially for something we want, we'll mold ourselves and try to kind of like you said. Well, I'm not, going for that. It gets to a point, but if it's someone we really care about, we'll kind of mold and do things to compromise to make it work. Because if it's something we want, we're gonna go hard to try to make it happen. But
And
I
no
think
matter how
it's,
much it hurts us, we still do it.
yeah,
Really?
No matter how much it hurts us,
No, for
if
me,
we
it gets,
love a woman, that
mhm.
woman can hurt us more than once before we really realize it, or before it impacts us in a way to where we just can't take it anymore. You know, and I've said this to you before, Dominique. That's why I was saying I was speaking with my uncle years ago, and he was saying something like, I've never heard a man say I'm leaving because I'm unhappy. He say, only women leave when they're unhappy.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? A man will sit back, he will be unhappy, he will do anything because to him, his happiness comes from making sure everyone else
everyone
that
else
he's
is
supposed to provide for is happy. So, which that was, that always stuck with me like years later, like, you know what I mean? Because I've had that happen. I'm just not
Hmm.
satisfied here. I'm not happy here. I'm not this, that, and third. Where, like you said, Dominique, a man will do certain things, even if he's not doing the right things, right? He will do certain things with those intentions. You know what I'm saying?
So I don't know if I've experienced that. I don't think my ex was happy, but I
Mm.
feel like I felt like he stayed because he was benefiting. You know, I think there were a lot of benefits.
And
I'm
that's
not
the
saying
opposite, and that's the other side of that too.
but
Yep.
the stability, and I do think that a lot of longtime married men like that the woman is providing some sort of foundation. There's stability. There's a lot of decisions he doesn't have to make. So
Right.
that's interesting.
okay. Okay, so how would you guys try to navigate maintaining positive relationship with your ex partner while investing into a new one?
Ooh, Brandon, I think you should go first on that. Maybe you can
Well,
give me some help.
I it could be the man in me, but I look at it as simple as math. 2 + 2 = 4. I mean, it just depends. To me, it depends on what's on what, like, do you and this ex have children, or is this just an ex? Because if it's just an ex, it's clear cut. It's over. It's over.
Right.
We don't have
Right.
to navigate a relationship or try to do anything. Now, if you and this person have kids, I feel like, and this could just be me, the way I view things, but I feel like if neither one of you are married and you have children, if you're not remarried or anything like that, I feel like that's your second most important relationship, is your co-parenting relationship. So I do think it's important when you have kids to navigate that with a certain level of respect. And I say it's your second most important because, of course, most people say their most important relationship is with God, right? So your second would be your co-parent. Now, when I get married or something, my marriage will come second, and then my co-parent, you know what I'm saying? But that co-parenting relationship is always up there. It's always top 5 in my eyes, because when everything is said and done, all I have is my children and what they think of me and how they view me and their mother. So when I move around, because I do have children with my ex, I move with a certain level of respect. I don't find that it's hard to navigate those. I feel like there's certain boundaries that need to be set.
That part.
Like, for instance, like, like, I feel like, all right, so like the day me and my kid's mother split was the last day I hugged her, last day I gave her any type of indication that it was, anything still there. To me, I think people, they hold on to certain things instead of setting those boundaries immediately, and it makes it hard. Like, it makes it a lot harder for them in the long run. My transition was a lot easier than most people. The heartbreak and everything was still there, the pain and everything was still there, but the transition away from that was a lot easy because we both agreed to set certain boundaries. So there was so in the beginning, there was times where she would still want to do things as a group, a family, and all that, right? And I understand that, like, I'm not mad at that, but that's a certain boundary at this point we can't cross, because, well, I'm not just thinking about the kids' feelings in this sense. I'm thinking about mine and yours. You get what I'm saying? So I just feel like when you're done with your ex, if you guys don't have kids, and even if you do have kids, stop playing house. People still like to play house and like to dibble and dabble. They want to be free, but they still want this. They still want what they had, and they still want to be able to have access to that. And I just think that's not realistic if you're trying to move on and, start something new with a new partner. So, like, now I deal with a woman, and there's boundaries there. Like, my kid's mother don't have that type of access to me. You get what I'm saying? My ex will not have that type of access to me, even if I wasn't dealing with anybody. That's just my way of being able to heal myself and get over that. You know what I'm saying? Because I love hard. So boundaries is something that if I don't have, I'll lose myself. You get what I'm saying? And I'll forget the whole big picture because I love you. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like it's very easy if you don't have kids. There's really nothing to talk about. 2 + 2 = 4. We're done. Go your way, I go my way. I'll catch you on the back end. Hey, how you doing? But if you got kids, it's very important, because eventually those kids grow up and they make their own decisions. They start noticing who was who and what was what, and how, and that also influence how they'll deal with their children, and if they have to go through something like this. You get what I'm saying? So
Mm.
that's my answer to that.
I would piggyback. I think boundaries is the biggest thing. And like I know for me initially I was, trying to do family thing because you're trying to keep the family together. But at the same
Right.
time, for me, I ended up realizing that it started to affect the kids. So when it came to that and boundaries as far as different things, like don't call me at this time. As far as just respect to you, whether you got someone or not, or whether I got someone or not. It's just more so just the respect factor. Because if you don't, then they will try to do things to try to either wiggle back in, and like you said, in a sense, like playing house, or someone will be, I don't want you, but I want to keep you around. And I
Yeah.
think that's a dangerous game because the other person may feel like, okay, well, I'm doing this thinking that they're going to get back, with the person, and that's not the case. And you find yourself being used. So it's like you have to set those boundaries so you don't have to go through those different things, because it's really important. I think the lines can get blurred when it comes to, your ex when you have kids. I was like you said, when it's an ex, you don't have kids, that's easy. Cut dry. There's no, there's nothing wrong with anything. But when you have kids, it does complicate things, but you have to move in a way to where you protect your kids and you protect, yourself. So I would definitely say boundaries when it comes to the ex, because it could be a dangerous game if there's no boundary set. Because when you do get with someone, and if there's no boundaries, the person that you with is going to feel some type of way, or the person that's not with you is going to feel like they could do whatever they want.
Mm, man, my situation is so messy. I should be ashamed at this big age. Um, the first time we divorced, we co-parented great. Like it's probably one of the reasons why we did end up getting back together. Um, we had no formal arrangements around anything. He lived 10 minutes away. He would pick the kids up or I would pick them up. And we never talked about boundaries, but it was just done. There was no funny business. We moved on or whatever and seemed to have a good friendship. Um, but the second time around, I feel like in the second marriage, even though the second marriage in some ways was not as toxic, the first marriage was horrible. I mean, really bad. Um, it wasn't as bad the second time, it in obvious ways, but there was a ton of codependency, and my voice was heavily silenced. Even though it seemed like I was talking all the time, I wasn't really aware of. Um, basically, at this point, I now feel like I was kind of used in a lot of ways that wouldn't necessarily be acknowledged. And so I don't. I wonder if I still have some work to do around why the co-parenting isn't good. I do know this. I don't tolerate um, his behavior like I used to when we were together. I would know when he wasn't functioning as a man should, because I grew up with a strong father, and I would just constantly placate him and be in agreement with certain things. And when we divorced this time, I speak my mind immediately, and that causes more conflict than anything else. But we don't have like a boundary issues. From the day I told him I wanted the divorce, I told him to move out of the bedroom, and in 20 years I had never um, told him he wasn't allowed in the bedroom. And then he kept trying to come and use the shower, and I'm like, no, this is a boundary. You don't need to be walking around me in a towel. Like this is over, And so
Mm.
and I think he was shocked, and he stayed in the house for another like 6 weeks after that. But he was on the couch. I gave him no. I wouldn't even make strong eye contact with him because I would catch him kind of looking at me, trying to catch my eyes, trying to pull me back into that toxic codependent pattern. But because I had done so much therapy by that time, I realized that I was with him because I thought that was what I deserved. So even with the treatment, the lack of connection, because it was a loveless marriage in a lot of ways, but I met him as a young single mother, fresh off of a breakup where someone told me that I wasn't worth as much because I had a child, and so you're not going to get a guy with a good education and a good job. You're disqualified from that now. And so
Right.
I took the person who seemed to want me and ended up in this pattern, staying there for years. And as I found my worth, that's when I didn't desire the relationship anymore. And I think that it was an ill match on both sides because I don't think I was capable of being the partner that he needed either. So I just think that there's a lot of resentment still there because it was such a long relationship. Like I'm 52, I met him when I was 25 and he was 22.
Mm.
And he basically, I don't mean any harm, but never really grew up. Like he moved in with me 3 weeks after we met. I pretty much did all the adulting. He would just say, "Oh, I'm not good at that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that." And so I would end up doing the home purchases, like any kind of adulting you can think of. I was in charge of. And
Yeah.
as you get older, you get resentful.
Mhm.
You don't really feel like you have a partner if you're still doing all these things. And So I don't know if it's ever going to be better because there's no trust. And this is the last point I'm making. I'll stop talking.
No, no, you're fine. That's what we're here for, coach.
There's no trust. So there was no, I think that you can split with someone and it didn't work out between the two of you, but there's still a certain level of trust. Like, I trust you to still be a good parent. I trust you in these ways. We don't have any trust. Like, anything I tell him, he thinks that I'm lying. You
Yeah.
know, like, he has his own narrative and story. And if he was on here, he'd say something totally different. But we don't trust each other at all. And so
Mhm.
that's what makes it like, I don't think he believes I have our son's best interests in mind. I don't trust him. Like, if I get hit by a bus, he is the absolute last person I would want to raise my son to
Yeah.
adulthood. You know what I'm saying? And so how do you get to a place where it's peaceful and you're really doing it together? I don't have an answer.
Yeah. I just trust people to be who they are. You've been with this person for so long, you know this person like you know yourself. Well, in my situation, so it's not. I I can't say we have the. I trust her to be her, and I'm sure she trusts me to be me. You know what I mean? I know who she is. I know what she's capable of, and vice versa. So that to me, that's what makes it easy. So when you do something that I trusted you to do, I knew you. Whether I don't agree with it or I agree with it, if I trusted you to do that, if I know that that's your character, it makes it a lot easier for me to deal with that. You get what I'm saying? So for me, that's what makes it easy for me to get through that whole trust barrier thing. I just trust you to be you.
Yeah, and I mean, and let me be clear. Would he harm him? Absolutely not. Would
Right.
he allow harm to come to him? Absolutely not. But, real talk, he still has not arrived and he's 49. So, and my kid is very astute. He, in some ways, he's wiser than his dad. So
Mhm.
my concern would be, how could I trust you to make him into a man that you have not yet become?
Mm.
That's all I'm saying. There's no reason for me to list certain.
Well,
And I know you're
look
always
at it.
following, but
What if the man he is made your son the man that he has become? On the flip side of that,
Oh, that is a good point.
you're
what
saying
if,
because he had a son,
huh?
you're
No,
saying,
okay.
okay,
I
say it
think
again.
what he's saying is because I could say that for myself. So I
Me
won't
as
even
well.
use you. I won't even use. I use my example. So for me, I saw a lot of things because my dad wasn't in the picture because of separation, but I saw like certain guys how they treated my mom. Right. I looked at that and said that's not what I wanted to do. Right. So in a sense, what he's saying
Mm,
is he's being a dad, but if your son is astute, like you say, is he's looking at that situation and he's looking at probably how you've been hurt. I know I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
You get
This is
what I'm
the man
saying?
I don't aspire to be.
Right.
and that is possible. And you know what? Some moms would celebrate that. Because I had such a great dad, it makes me sad
Hmm.
Mm,
that my son emulates my boyfriend a lot more. Like, he has a nickname around him, his color, like it's different little things, because my boyfriend is so different. He's more together, more
Yeah.
grounded, and he also, they think alike a lot. And it's in interesting and strange ways, and I think that he admires him also. My boyfriend is the only person that he listens to with absolutely no back talk.
Mm-hmm.
Not me, not his own father. He will argue the rest of us down. But the boyfriend knows how to approach him with logic
Mm-hmm.
and explain X, Y, and Z. But he also is very stern. His voice is super deep. He is
Mm-hmm.
not here to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that my son's always been the type, though, that if you know what you're talking about, he will fold.
Yeah.
Like, he's not gonna go with you just because you said something and you don't
Hmm.
have no receipts. And he,
Yeah.
he's been like that since he was little. So
That's a wonderful thing.
yeah, I think that he's very defensive of his father. Like, he got into a fight at school over some kid talking about your daddy's broke or whatever. That set him off. When somebody made an insult that was not true towards his dad, he got upset about it. But I don't see him trying to. Everything he talks about doing is the opposite of what his father is. So maybe you are
Yeah.
in some
So
ways.
his father taught him a lot. maybe just not, maybe not in the And like I've had this, like it was the same way with my mother. My mother felt like my dad didn't teach me anything because my dad was barely there, and then when he was there, he was very inconsistent and all those things. But like I had to explain to my mom was kind of how I asked you the question. You know what I'm saying? I was, I let her know, like, it's things that my dad taught me that you would never even know that I learned from him. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because he took me out one on one to ride a bike or taught me how to throw a football. It was the fact that he was absent. He wasn't there. I didn't have him to call. He didn't talk to me about girls. He didn't show me what a condom was. He didn't do those things. But I look at me and I look at the children that I have, and I have three boys and one baby girl, and they you would you you wouldn't tell that I was raised or that I had those type of father problems. You know what I mean? Because of the way I am with them. Like I am more, and I don't mean this in a bad way or to trying to down anybody like that, but I'm I'm more in tune with my kids than anybody in this world, even their mother. You understand what I'm saying? Now I have my kids full time. Full
Mm.
time. Every child me and my ex had, all three of them, I have them now full time. So I do the day to days now. I'm waking up, going to schools, and doing the feeding breakfast, and she's going to get her hair done here. So I'm doing all that. But I don't think I'll be. I don't think I would be able to be that functioning with this if I didn't have the dad that I had. It
Mm.
wasn't because nothing my mom did, because all my mom taught me to do was to, take care of your responsibilities and protect your home and protect and provide. Of course, that's what we all learn, right? That's the basics, right? It's the basics as a young kid. But the core things that I needed to know, my mom really couldn't teach me, and the absence of my father is what taught me that.
Yeah, and I think that he's picking up both sides of it. I mean, his dad definitely tries. I think really it's more if his dad we split up and his dad had come out on his feet, had lived in a great place and all that kind of stuff. I don't think he would have as many challenges. And my ex wouldn't believe it, but I used to until my therapist told me to stop. Speak like, oh, dad's gonna get it together and he's gonna be X, Y, and Z. But I'm like, I can't. I'm not involved. Why would I sell these things to him that may or may not actually occur? I think he wants to be proud of his father. You know, he lived under the same roof with his father for almost 12 years. It's not like we split when he was very, very little. So he's seen a lot. Your kids always tell. I tell
Right.
people that you can think you're doing whatever you're doing in your home, but when your kids are adults, it's all going to be out there in one way or another.
Hell yeah.
Everything that was going on is going to come to the surface.
Mhm.
Okay. We're
Yes, it
gonna
is.
we're gonna see. So this is a question I was asked. Can you speak on how extroversion and introversion plays a role in relationships?
I can.
I know the person who asked that question. I don't I don't really have a straight answer, but I do think it requires more understanding and acceptance because it seems like extroverts and introverts attract each other
Hmm.
and spend time frustrated that one person wants to entertain more. Let's just use that as an example, or just
Right.
go out more. And the introverted person doesn't have a desire for any of that. Or as he would say, the introverted person goes around people and is depleted when it's over. And the extrovert is like, that was good. Um, I think just like anything else, it requires understanding. And then you just can't push. You can't push it
Hmm.
when the person doesn't feel up to it.
Yeah.
Let it be. Do some things by yourself.
Yeah.
I
Just
I
com-
think
just compromising. I think it's all about knowing your audience, knowing your partner. You know what I mean? If you compromise, but that goes both ways for the extrovert and the introvert. If you know if you know I'm a social butterfly and that's what makes me happy, and you know what I mean, every now and again, slide out with me. And if I know Barnes and Nobles is what makes you happy every now and again, we'll hit Barnes and Nobles and have a cup of coffee, just us two, if that's what. But I think it should be. I think it's good to have a healthy balance of both.
and I think the biggest thing really is communication, because
Yeah.
obviously when you guys start talking, based off talking. Okay, this person's an introvert, this person, so you guys know. But it's just basically like just talking. Like, hey, I like you and I like this, but hey, I don't like doing this. Okay,
Right.
cool. Well, I know you don't like this. I'm just gonna come chill with you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be talkative, so just don't
Yeah.
get mad if I'm not being as talkative as you. But just know who you with. As long as you know your person, don't matter if you introvert or extrovert. You guys gonna be good because you guys know you guys communicate. Now, if you guys get together, you're extrovert and introvert, but y'all don't communicate. That's it's not
Right.
going to end. I mean, it's not going to end well.
And acceptance. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
anything else. If you can't accept most of who your partner is, you need to leave them alone because it's going to drive you crazy. You're going to be driving them crazy. You have to meet a person, accept a person as they are, especially when it comes to introvert extrovert. That's not going to change.
Mm-mm.
Introvert is not going to wake up later and suddenly be party people. It's never
Yeah.
going to happen. You know.
Let's see. We got it's another question from Kamai Carter. I'll leave this question for you, Brand. It says when a man isn't happy, they seem to cheat. So yeah, he may not leave physically, but he leaves mentally.
Ooh, bring
Mm,
it, bring it.
You want to go? Or you want me to go?
you can go, but I'll go after you. Go ahead.
Um,
I want to
I
hear
don't
this.
I don't think they necessarily would cheat. I do think they probably will leave mentally, but I'll just use myself for an example. Like when that during that time when I know I wasn't happy, I wasn't able to vent to the person I was with. I would go to work and that would be I would vent or I will work more instead of be there. It wasn't necessarily cheap because like when I worked when it came to law enforcement as well as when I did, bodyguard for a celebrity, I would see, women that was very beautiful. But I never really was like, okay, I want to do it. It was just because at the end of the day, I got family at home. Yes, this person is not probably you know, I'm unhappy there. I'm thinking and hoping that it changed, but at the same time, I was just working. And I think some men may leave to go do something because if they're not happy, they're gonna look at, okay, well, this person, this is where it does kind of get it can go left where a guy can be gone and want to deal with someone else physically to where if they're telling you their problems, they're telling you the issues, and you're not listening, you're shutting them down. And then there's another because females will do this and they're slick at it. They will come and talk to you, they will kind of get information, and then once they get information, okay, I understand you not, that's not going on at home, so I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to confide in. Then it starts, okay, I'm going to bring you this, and I'm going to bring you, and then that's where you start to go down a road. Obviously, you could shut it down as a man, but if the guy is feeling like somewhat vulnerable to where I'm not getting this, and I've been asking this from my own partner, it is so many other people, and I'm sure it goes for guys too when it comes to women that wants to, okay, let me see how I can, finagle this, and they might not even have the best intentions. They just want you because whatever the situation they're going on. So I think he can go both ways. I just don't necessarily think that that's for all men as far as they just going to cheat just because they're unhappy.
Okay. This is what I feel, right? And
Mm-hmm. Tell us the truth.
I'm not speaking for all men. I'm speaking for me. And if you agree, cool. Okay. We are a man will tell you when he's unhappy. Like what you were saying. One thing about us is we don't go on, and be get all vulnerable and tell our emotions and everything like that. But when we're unhappy, we're very boisterous about that. You understand what I'm saying? Now, technically, to me, I feel like cheating is kind of leaving physically. Not if you don't. I feel like if you don't leave your house, that's more of like a mental thing. Like I'm still here, still taking care of shit. Yeah, I did my little whatever, whatever, whatever. But I always feel like a man will tell you when he's unhappy. The problem that I see a lot of is women, and I hate to say this, but please don't be mad at me. Y'all have a hard time listening. Okay.
Mhm.
This is why we end up in relationships or having kids by men that's not there for these babies and all. Most of these men will tell you, they'll tell you this. Okay. I'm not looking for that. I'm not, I just want to have fun, or you just my little friend. You get what I'm saying? We'll tell you. We tell you. When we're in relationships, we tell you we're unhappy. Baby, listen, I don't like the fact that you wear this pink outfit to bed every night. Oh boy, ain't nobody, yeah, you tripping, da 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 da. I'm serious. You know what I'm saying? It's a listening problem. Like, so if you're not hearing me, yeah, I'm not going to get up and leave the house that I built, that I'm taking care of, that I'm the head of this household. I'm paying all the bills. I'm taking care of these kids. I'm taking care of you as well. Hell no, I'm not going to leave. No, I'm not going to leave. I just built this for 10 years. I just put my blood, sweat, and tears in here for 10 years. But that doesn't change the fact that you're not listening to me. You get what I'm saying? Most men just don't go off and cheat because they have a problem a lot of the times, right? We do sometimes, some of us do, right? We chronic with it, you know what I'm saying? But most of the time, when we get to about my age, that shit doesn't appease you anymore. You get what I'm saying? Having this woman, that woman, all this to keep up with, this emotion to keep up with, that emotion to keep up with. So I feel like there are things that come so much sooner than a man cheating most times, because like I
Mm.
said before, a man is a creature of habit. So if his habitat is fine and his habitat is what he wants, he's fine, he's good, I'm
Mm.
good. You get what I'm saying? If all I want to do, if I want to go out, make the bacon, bring it home, and you fry it, and that's what I'm comfortable with, and that's what we're doing, I'm good. I have nowhere to be, right? But when I start bringing home the bacon and you're not frying, and I let you know, babe, you're not frying the bacon ain't being fried. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
Or you're getting overwhelmed, and when women get in their feelings, they forget about our feelings sometimes. You get what I'm saying? You get overwhelmed, you get stressed out with the kids, and yes, that's normal. That happens every day. And like, I hate that for y'all, but we're still here as well. And we're still going through our things as well. You get what I'm saying? So the whole the whole cheating thing, that stuff comes before, because a man is always going to let you know he's not happy. Like I said, we're creatures of habit. So if a man don't tell you, because we're creatures of habit, as my woman, the woman that's supposed to be in tune with me, you should know. You should see when something's not right. When something, you know what I'm saying? You should be able I mean, I can. When I'm in tune with my woman or something like that, don't necessarily mean she cheating or anything like that. I can tell when something's not right. Maybe her decision making was a little off. Maybe you know what I'm saying? But like I said, we're only going to say so many times before things start to change within us. But as far as leaving our home, that's never an option
Oh,
for a man that's taking care of his home. For me, that was
how old
never
are
an
you,
option for me.
Brandon? How old are you?
I'm 36.
I feel like an old lady here. That's okay. I'm
Leaving
learning
my
something.
home and leaving my kids, and that was never an option for me. You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Even though I was unhappy, and doggone it, I'll be honest, I did cheat. You know what I mean? I did. But for me, it was something that it led up to that. It was a constant repetitive conversations, feeling like I'm not being heard, feeling I'm feeling like I'm not being paying attention to, or you're not seeing me, like you're just not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not getting the things from you that got me here. You get what I'm saying? And we do it the same thing too. As men, we do the same thing. We do certain things to get you, and then it kind of dies down after a while. You know what I mean? So that's, but that's what led me to get where I was just kind of like, I kind of slipped up. That foot turned into 2 feet out the door. You know what I mean? But it wasn't, leaving my home was never an option. I was never planning to leave my kid's mother or anything, because I had kids with this woman. So to me, I feel like I could find my happiness again. We'll be able to find that again, right? But that's how a
Mm.
lot of men think, because we're simple minded like that. I could find my happiness again. A woman, look, I'm unhappy. I got to get up out of here.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? This is why this is why, most men cheat, because they're not leaving what they have built over here, their foundation. And that's just honesty. He will
I
feel like
think
he's not doing nothing wrong as long as his home is taken care of.
right, and I think that is the mindset that certain men have, that as long as they're doing that, the other thing should be okay. Now, I don't think the women. I actually, that was so good. I had to take a couple notes because I do have 52 brain cells left, and I
That's
need to
right.
make sure that I remember this. I don't think the women are going to like some of what I'm going to say, but this ladies will come from the seasoning that I've had. Even the comment right now about men not being emotionally available. I agree that women don't listen. That is a strong point, and I want to drive it home because I think that women don't know how to listen to men. We don't understand the way that you're speaking. And I think men also struggle to understand the way that we're communicating. Um, our styles are different. I'm gonna explain it in a slightly different way. So with women, there's this whole thing called the walkaway wife syndrome. 70% of divorces are initiated by women. And a lot of times the men act shocked, like, I didn't see this coming. I
Right.
think it ties to what you said, though, Brandon. In their minds, they've accepted this. I'm not leaving my house because this was definitely, I know how my ex felt. It's been toxic this long. We're going to ride it out. He was okay with the level of misery that was going on. And I made a decision that I did not want to do that, to live in that anymore. But so men can actually settle sometimes easier than women. They might cheat a little bit on occasion here and there, but they will still stay put. That's why a side piece is probably not going to take that man away from his family, no matter what she's doing.
No
And the second
matter
thing
what
I
she's
wanted to
doing.
say is that cheaters are going to cheat. So
Hmm.
if a person is capable of cheating, and this would have freed me in my 20s, if a person is capable of cheating and that's what he wants to do, he's going to do it regardless. So when she says if a man is unhappy or whatever, I don't remember what the quote said, that why do they cheat or whatever. If it was already in his nature to do it, there are situations I do think that can push any partner to cheat. But if
Right.
he's going to do it, he's going to do it anyway. And there's
Hmm.
nothing a woman can do to stop it. I used to think, oh, I'm going to drop it hot. I'm going to be on a chandelier. I'm going to do all these things. I've still been cheated on in every relationship except for my current one. And that's when I realized it's not me. This is a problem that he has over there. And I do think that men don't know how to tell us, I don't like that pink nightgown so much that when you get in this bed with that on, I'm having to visualize something totally different to get myself there. Like we don't, because men don't always tell us directly. And also, in my opinion, there are a lot of men who don't like to have those types of long conversations. They don't really want to unpack it in a way
Hmm.
that we can understand it. That's why they think, because they threw it out there, because that's what it sounded like when you said it, Brandon. It sounded like this: I'm gonna throw a little something on it. I told her, you hope she picked it up. That's not the same thing as sitting us down and saying to us, honey, I love you. I think you're beautiful. That's why I chose you. However, there's a couple things that occur that I just don't care for.
Right. Right.
That we would hear. If you came
Right.
to us directly like that, we
Mhm.
would hear it. Now, if you did that as a man and she is still combative, confident, well, you better like it. And the
And
last
that's where
time you
I
liked it
There
when I
you
and
said
that's
go.
where I was going to
and
go
she's
with that
doing
because
that,
yeah.
then you need to be making some different decisions.
Right.
And
And that
in my
and that's
opinion,
where I was going with that. Yep.
yes, one of my biggest issues with men is that they stay, because there are good men out there who are with bad partners that need to be available for other healed women like myself, but they stay with these combative women who have not done their own inner work. And then y'all just doing this all the time. He's miserable, so he's cheating a little bit. She's bashing him to her friends all day long about what he's not doing. Cut the cord. It may be hard, it may be challenging, but we die at the end of this. You don't have to stay in a bad relationship
And
where
ain't
your
no bunk beds in those
life
caskets when we go, coach.
is compatible. Yeah,
You're right about that.
you need to go. You need to leave. If it's not working, people need to feel comfortable leaving, or at least try to have that one last conversation. Listen, I don't think this is working. It doesn't look like we're gonna make it. But if there's a chance for us, I think we need to try these three things for 12 months. And if that's not, because it's your time, and lots of energy that's being expended, all the wounds are building up. Now you got even more to heal from.
A lot of this stuff comes from trial and error, like from just growing, growing. Like I said, I'm 36. This is my very first heartbreak. So a lot of this stuff is, there's no real time limit on this. There's no real, it just comes with age and maturity and experiences.
Okay, let me piggyback off that because I do want to kind of tag team what Coach K said, but also what you said, Brandon. When it comes down to um, just when it comes down to just focusing on pretty much what you was talking about, it's like some of that stuff comes from a background. Everyone matures different,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, you gotta want to mature. So it's like when you realize something, you have to take ownership and take accountability as a man. When you notice, okay, I need to change this because this person didn't like it. And for me, that's where it was. And I think the thing I think that what sometimes women don't understand is obviously understanding where you come from, because that's a big thing. Because if you don't know, how you supposed to fix it? If you know better, you do better. And I think, just teaching a person that wants to know, because you will know if someone wants to know, because you will see a change, not just a change for a week. You will see a change of gradually. They may slip one time, but you see like, oh, I messed up on it, because they're recognizing what you said. So
Yeah.
it's people that actually want to, evolve and change, but at the same time, you got to give them that leeway.
That space to
And
do so. Yeah.
right, and I think one of the comments pretty much mentioned as far as being a prisoner of your past. And I think that you cannot be stuck in your past or allow your past to take over, because if you do, it's going to lead into your future situations. And I
Right.
think when it comes to, Brandon said, cheating, or even when it comes to women, like you said this, you can't continue to keep, oh, I told you this, I told you this, when stuff that was in the past. If you're seeing they're trying to genuinely change, you have to take ownership and acknowledge that, because for us, acknowledgement and words of affirmation means a lot, because it's like, okay, it's almost like I'm playing sports and you like, hey, good job, keep okay, I'm gonna do better. That's in a sense, I would say, how most men operate, I would think. Now there's some that's not like that and doesn't necessarily mature like that, but when it comes to men, as far as not being emotional, like you said, we may not communicate it the best way, and I would totally agree. But it's like when we would communicate it, either get shut down, or kind of like you said, well, I ain't doing, and then you start back. So it's just like, now I'm not opening up to you no more. And that's the thing that sucks with men, because we will
Been
shut
shut
down
down.
more easier than you guys, because women would be able to communicate better than us. They'll
No,
come.
no, I don't think you're. I don't agree with the language you use. I
Mm,
don't think men are communicating wrong.
mm,
I don't like you saying that men are doing it wrong. I
mm,
think that's their natural inclination. I'm just saying there's a way to do it in a more expanded way. I
yeah,
would be very specific with that, because I wouldn't want you to abuse yourself by feeling like, oh, I'm wrong, I'm doing it wrong. It's just that it's not enough depth to what you're sharing when you give that one statement for most women to pick it up. It's
yeah.
not enough for us to pick it up, because it's not how we communicate. We're going to drill it into the effing ground. So
Mhm.
if you're not even bringing any more of that, then it's going to be harder for us to receive it in that sense. But I think that people need to be willing to be accountable to each other. That
Mhm.
was something I could never get to in my marriage. I used to tell my ex-husband, when he would told me that he had a problem with how I talked to him, right? This is not uncommon. Y'all may have said it to a woman in the past. He said, especially if I would say certain things in front of people. And I matured in the marriage to a point where I knew that I really didn't think I wanted to be there forever, but I said, I don't feel like I can leave right now. How can I learn while I'm in this? And so I would listen to him more. I would take notes while he was talking. And he's talked about me disrespecting him in front of people, things I would say. I had two young daughters. I didn't want my daughters talking to men like that. And so I learned how to communicate differently and how to listen, even if I didn't necessarily agree. And I told him, keep me accountable. If we're at a party and I do something I shouldn't, tell me in the car right away. And
Mhm.
I will. So I said, because if you don't tell me in the moment, I don't know what triggered me. It's harder for me to solve for it. But he never wanted that in return. He never wanted me to talk about anything negative that he had done or that I didn't like, or any of that. So I wasn't able to make it mutual. The other thing I wanted to say is that I think that women do need to give more consideration to showing men attention and respect. And I know that all the men already say that, but I just want to say that for the women, especially younger woman, if you're with a man and you can't be attentive to him and it's not natural for you to respect him, leave him alone. Let him go grow up, let him be with somebody else, et cetera, et cetera. But men are not going to ask for attention, not in the ways that a woman would expect, because it doesn't feel manly. And you guys can correct me, you're
No,
dudes, but I don't
you're
think a man
100%
is
right.
going to say, I need some attention. You're not showing me enough attention. Even if you're busy, there needs to be ways that you
We
make him.
say it. We just don't say it like that.
Don't
Like
say
that.
it
We
like
definitely
Right,
that.
right,
say
right,
it.
right, right,
Don't
right.
say it like that. So
I am
whatever
very
his
voiceless
wife
about that. We say it, but
well, and the other thing I've learned is it's not all about sex for men. Like men like non-sexual touches too. He wants you to do all those things. Like my guy, he's not always going to respond with the romantic stuff like I might say, but I know he likes it when I say it. I know he likes it when I send a flirty message.
yeah.
I send him pictures all the time. I never did that with my ex. We didn't have that closeness. But just because he knows what I look like, he sees me all the time. He loves getting these pictures from me. He scrolls back through the messages and looks at. I had no idea that men love that, the attention and the respect. When he and I are at a public function, I fix his plate. I never did that in my marriage. I probably did it twice.
We
Okay.
like attention just like the women do,
That's
you
what I'm
know.
saying.
You just,
I do these
you just
things.
don't
I
say
mean,
it.
he takes care of me at the same time, which is the key. So if a woman is saying, I'm not doing all that because he don't do, then you need to call it off, sis.
And
Leave
that's
today.
and that's how and that'll lead us to cheating as well. See, it's a lot easier for us men to cheat than it is for women most times.
I got a lot of cheating. I know a lot of cheating wives. So
Yeah, they
Yeah,
just,
no.
it just
I'm
doesn't
just
come out.
saying,
It just doesn't
I'm
come
just
out.
saying as
it
far as
takes
like
her
the
longer.
whole
It takes a woman
attention
longer
thing.
to cheat. It takes
Yeah,
a woman
because
a lot longer to
because it's a lot easier for you guys. I'm saying it's
yeah.
easier
We're
for
already
us to
used to
cheat
yep.
because it's harder for us to
That's
get
true.
that type of
That's
attention that
true.
we're looking for. So when we get that type of attention we're looking for, we're like,
That's true.
oh shit, I don't know what
It
to
might
do.
be
But see,
rare.
a woman is used to getting attention. A
Yeah.
woman can, I tell my friends this all the time, like a woman can scroll through her Facebook, boom, boom, and stop. Hey, come see me. Let's go out. And it can happen. We don't have that type of luxury.
Yeah.
That's why when we get the attention that we've been wanting or asking for or sending hints about, it's kind of, it's like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So I definitely, yeah, I get what you're saying. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But the attention and respect should be natural. One
it
of the
definitely
biggest
should be.
things I learned from that marriage so long is that relationships can be challenging. I don't know if either one of you guys been married before. Marriage is hard, yes, but when you are compatible and you're aligned and you're moving in the same direction, you're going to work about 70% less. I know a lot of people who really are in a smooth marriage because they already agree on a lot of fundamentals.
All right. This has been a lot to unpack, and I think this was really good. Hopefully, it was beneficial to a lot of people that was listening. Coach K, you have any closing words you want to?
I just want people to think about their time more. I want to repeat what I said. You die at the end of this. You know, I know we started off talking about recovery after a relationship. The most important thing you can do is heal the relationship with yourself, be honest with yourself, go back and look at your childhood, your parental patterns, have people who you're willing to let hold you accountable. If you don't want to be held accountable, you need to be by yourself because all you're going to do is create more destruction on the earth, and we don't need that.
Yes, man.
You, Brandon?
Hey, man, it's been a great one. Coach K, I hope you come back and visit us again because I don't know what they learned out there, but I sure learned a lot.
No,
So,
no, for sure.
you know how I feel, man. Love, peace, and hair grease and everything in between.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys, especially opportunity. Thank you guys. Hopefully, everyone was open enough to listen. And that's it. You guys have a wonderful week and weekend.
All right. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks,
Oh,
guys.
No problem.
hey, thank you. Coach K, have a good one.
All right. Bye.
All right, Domino.